Welcome to the deep dive. You've brought us some really interesting stuff today. Excerpts from Mark Condi about pilgrimage.
Hmm.
And what kind of jumped out at me straight away is he's not really talking about just, going to Lourdes or somewhere specific.
Exactly. No, it's much broader.
It feels like he's using pilgrimage more as a metaphor, maybe, for like the journey of life itself.
That's precisely it.
Hmm.
Condi really takes that word, pilgrimage,
Yeah.
and gives it this deeper layer. He's suggesting our whole life is kind of this ongoing quest.
Right.
Yeah, searching for meaning for what he called these facets of ancient truths. And since you brought this material to us, it obviously struck a chord with you.
It did, yeah.
So our mission today, let's say, is to unpack Condi's ideas here.
Mm.
What drives this pilgrimage? What's it all about? And how does he think it helps us grow?
Okay, let's dive in. He starts with this image. Weary travelers on a quest. I like that. Talking about seeking these ancient truths to make our lives, well, richer. It definitely makes you think about those times you feel a bit adrift. Lost, maybe.
Oh, absolutely.
He even says, wandering lost and alone. What's the key thing he's getting at there, do you think?
Well, I think the key is that feeling.
Yeah.
It's universal, isn't it? That sense of being a bit lost at sea sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just part of being human.
Sure.
But crucially, Condi doesn't just leave us feeling lost. He immediately brings in the idea of little signs.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, these little glimmers of hope,
Mm.
things that hint we're not totally aimless. And these signs, they become really important for just keeping going.
Right, like little breadcrumbs. And that seems to lead straight into his idea about stepping stones.
It does.
He talks about how these little encouragements, these signs, help us move towards a predetermined destination.
Mhm.
It's like each step forward builds momentum. Just the act of walking, he says. It suggests progress, even if you don't quite know where you're heading yet.
Precisely. And it's not just about moving your feet, is it? He adds that crucial bit about listening.
Listening.
And so it's about being open, receptive to guidance, maybe intuition, perhaps even sensing a bigger plan unfolding somehow.
Okay.
And the hopefulness there is key, I think. Even if the final stop isn't clear, these little signs give us hope that our life goal is unfolding. What strikes you about that stepping stone image?
For me, it's that you don't need the whole map. You just need enough light for the next step. That feels manageable, against that big unknown.
That's a great way to put it. Manageable.
Now, this is where I thought it got really interesting. He talks about when our lives feel out of sync with a divine blueprint. That's quite a phrase.
It is powerful, yeah.
And he suggests this feeling can lead to a longing for an escape from the monotony of life. I mean, who hasn't felt that sometimes? That itch for something more.
Right. We've all been there.
What's the connection he's making there between that blueprint idea and wanting to escape?
Well, the connection seems to be between feeling misaligned, like you're off track from some deeper purpose,
Okay.
and that innate sense of needing purpose.
Yeah.
Condi suggests that longing, that desire to escape monotony, stems from feeling our reality isn't quite matching up with, well, how things should be according to this blueprint.
Ah, I see.
And he points out pretty directly
Yeah.
that having no clear direction, that can absolutely lead to boredom, disillusionment.
Yeah. Makes
And
big
the temptation is just to run away from the problems, the boredom. He even brings in that biblical idea, without a vision, we can perish.
Yeah.
It really highlights how crucial having some sense of direction, some vision actually is.
And that vision thing seems really personal for him, too. He mentions dreaming or imagining the greater possibilities just to stay alive and look forward. It's like he's actively, cultivating hope, anticipation.
Yeah, and what's interesting there is it's not passive waiting, is it?
Yeah.
He's actively looking and searching to know and understand my role.
Right. Proactive.
Using his imagination, like you said, to anticipate, to appreciate the surprises the Lord has in store. It's about being involved in the unfolding,
Yeah.
participating in it. How does that idea sit with you? Actively imagining.
It makes me think about intention. Like not just wishing things were different, but actually putting mental energy into picturing a better path.
Yeah.
And he introduces this term, the monarch of the universe, for God,
Yes.
the architect of life. And he loops it back, saying, I think there is a longing in all our hearts to take a pilgrimage. We're all these weary travelers on life's pilgrimage. So this longing is just fundamental part of us.
That seems to be exactly his point. Framing God as the architect implies this longing isn't random. It's woven into us.
Yeah.
It's part of the design, maybe.
Okay.
And that desire then fuels the search. the search for something more.
And what is it we're searching for, according to Condi? He mentions unearthing a forgotten truth,
Hmm.
finding the ancient path, and that really powerful idea of wanting an encounter in thin places.
Ah, thin places, yeah.
Those spots where the line between, heaven and earth feels blurry, close. What's the significance there?
Well, thin places is such an evocative idea, isn't it? It
Mhm.
taps into that deep human desire for connection, for transcendence.
Right.
It suggests there are times or places where the veil feels thinner, where connecting with the sacred feels more possible, more immediate. And that longing for connection is what pushes us forward on the quest.
He uses a few terms for that push, doesn't he? Quest, holy longing, or pilgrimage.
They all point to the same thing.
And they lead to a kind of wanderlust to figure out our sacred role, given by the monarch of the universe. It really does seem to come back to finding our why.
That's the core of it, I think. But he also makes a really important point. It's not just about constantly doing, constantly moving.
Okay.
He stresses the need to go away, to be in silence, to be still before the Lord, even for just an hour or a day.
Ah, the stillness.
Yeah. He points to Jesus withdrawing for that connection. It suggests these quiet times, these pauses, are actually essential for getting clarity on our own pilgrimage. How does that idea of stillness hit you, given how busy life gets?
It's a huge reminder, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so easy to just keep running on the hamster wheel. That stillness feels like where the real insights might actually happen.
Exactly.
And seeking guidance leads him to talk about ancient paths and the coracle, that analogy.
It's coracle,
He
yeah.
describes it as being adrift, totally at the mercy of the Lord. It's about trust, but it sounds quite vulnerable.
It is very vulnerable. And that's the beauty of it, I think. This tiny, fragile boat symbolizing our willingness to just let go.
Yeah.
Trust a higher power for navigation. He connects it to saints throughout history who did just that, put themselves in God's hands, literally sometimes.
Yeah.
And his suggestion to maybe symbolically build your own coracle for your prayers, your hopes, it makes that idea of trust very tangible.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, everyone feels adrift sometimes, right? So that idea of leaning into trust, even when things feel totally uncertain. Yeah, I can see the comfort in that. He also mentions the saints of old inspiring faith.
Right? Drawing on that heritage.
And being in the flow of the Holy Spirit's leading, that sounds like. Finding your groove, spiritually speaking, to find meaning and purpose.
Yeah, finding your groove is a good way to put it. It suggests this active, dynamic relationship, letting yourself be guided towards fulfillment, towards your unique purpose, like tapping into a current.
So where is this all leading? What's the destination ultimately of this life pilgrimage for Condi?
Well, he describes it as being brought to a place of finding our worth,
Okay.
finding our place of service, having a love of the world and life, a love of God, and a love of self and other fellow pilgrims.
Wow, that's a lot. Very holistic.
It really is. It's not about arriving at one specific endpoint, is it? It's more about cultivating a whole state of being. Love, purpose, connection with God, others, yourself, the world.
And finding joy in the ordinary stuff along the way.
Exactly. It happens in the middle of everyday life, walking alongside other people on their own journeys.
He also talks about wrestling with the mysteries of life, that it's necessary to understand God's role for us and to cooperate with the master plan. It suggests it's not always smooth sailing. There's some effort involved, some grappling.
Definitely. And that wrestling, that grappling with the tough stuff, the unknowns, that's often where the real growth happens, isn't it?
Yeah, proud.
It's through engaging those questions, those challenges, that we get a deeper sense of our place. And cooperating with the plan,
Yeah.
it implies being an active participant, not just letting life happen to you.
Then he comes back to that urge to run away when things get tough.
Right.
But he asks this really pointed question. Who more can be trusted with our life than the creator of the universe? Oof. That kind of stops you in your tracks.
It's a powerful challenge, isn't it? It cuts right through that instinct to just avoid discomfort or difficulty.
Yeah.
The real quest, he seems to say, isn't escaping.
Yeah.
It's facing things. Trusting there's a purpose even in the hard stuff. And I liked his suggestion about local pilgrimages, too.
Oh, yeah.
Makes the whole idea feel less abstract, more doable, something you could actually, try out close to home.
That's true. So what kind of experiences should we expect on a pilgrimage like this? He mentions searching the heart, expecting an encounter in a sacred space, seeking guidance, forgiveness, or blessing. It sounds potentially life-changing.
I think that's the idea, that openness to transformation, the anticipation of maybe encountering something sacred or getting clarity. That's all part of the pilgrim mindset.
Creating space for it.
Exactly. Creating space for the divine to show up, whether that's in a specific place or just, internally through reflection.
I really like this term he used, wander hope,
Ah, yes, wander hope.
suggesting that even if we feel like we're wandering, there's this underlying hope pulling us along, a heart's longing that God put there. That reframes feeling lost quite beautifully, I think.
It really does. That difference between just aimless wanderlust and purposeful, hopeful wander hope, it changes everything, doesn't it?
Yep.
It makes the journey feel driven by faith, not just restlessness.
And companionship. He talks about the Anam Cara, the soul friend.
The soul friend, yes.
Crucial.
How important it is not to do this whole journey alone. Having someone, it enriches it, makes it less lonely.
Absolutely. That concept really underlines how vital connection is on this path. Having someone to walk with, share with, maybe challenge you, it makes a huge difference. Does that resonate? Having an Anam Cara?
It definitely gives you food for thought, yeah. Thinking about who those people might be. Going back to slowing down, he says, the pilgrimage helps us discover the heartbeat of God. By stepping off the treadmill of our fast-paced society, he quotes Jeremiah, right?
Right.
About standing at the crossroads, seeking the ancient paths, finding rest. It's a call to be present.
It really is. An invitation to find a deeper rhythm beneath all the noise and busyness. And those ancient paths. It suggests there's wisdom in looking back, doesn't it? Enduring truths. He also mentions hospitality and restoration. Acknowledging the journey can be messy and very emotion-filled.
Yeah, that honesty is important.
And that we need fellow pilgrims for support. It's okay not to have it all figured out.
Totally. Transformation isn't neat and tidy, usually. Recognizing it can be tough and that we need each other. That's key for building resilience, for keeping going.
And even the rough patches, the disappointments, he suggests they might actually be preparing us.
Right. Like maybe those barriers aren't just roadblocks. Maybe they're part of the process.
Preparing us for the fulfillment of dreams. That's
Yeah.
such a hopeful perspective on setbacks.
It reframes challenges completely, doesn't it? Sees them as part of the journey, potentially refining us, getting us ready for what's next, even if we don't see how at the time.
He then links fulfilling our dreams, our longings, to the pursuit of God. And this idea of a pilgrimage back home. He uses the prodigal son story, that image of the father just welcoming unconditionally.
It's such a powerful parable, isn't it? Of return, grace, unconditional love. It suggests our deepest desires ultimately find their home in that loving relationship.
He basically frames our whole spiritual life as this journey, either moving towards God or sometimes away from God,
Yeah.
fueled by love, but also acknowledging that sometimes there's tension, right, when you don't feel God's presence. That honesty felt important.
It's very realistic. It acknowledges that faith isn't always easy. There are going to be times of doubt, of feeling distant. It's how we handle those times that matters.
And in those dark, desolate desert times, as he calls them, he says we need to dig deep and crucially run toward God, not away. That there's treasure within to find, and we can actually become our best selves through it.
It's a message of real resilience, isn't it? That those tough times, those desert experiences can actually be incredibly transformative if we choose to lean in, to keep seeking. Even when it's hard, we can find strength we didn't know we had.
He even talks about wanting to be that guide himself and Anam Cara for others in their struggles. Encouraging reflection, it really speaks to the value of mentorship, shared wisdom.
Absolutely. His desire to guide others really reflects that interconnectedness. We're all fellow pilgrims, right? Sharing our journeys, our struggles, our insights. It's powerful.
He sums up his core goals for people really clearly. Trust God more deeply, see God more clearly, love people more dearly, and believe God and ourselves more.
Those are powerful aims.
And he gives us that acronym, LAW, loving, accepting, and welcoming, as a practical handle.
Yeah, it provides a really clear kind of actionable focus for this whole life pilgrimage idea. It covers our relationship with God, others, and ourselves, and highlights love, acceptance, welcome, simple but profound.
And he wraps up by encouraging courage. Courage to chase dreams, know your vision, anticipate the good God wants to do, and push past barriers.
The call to action.
And then he brings it right down to earth, the practical questions. Where are you going? Why? When? Who's coming with you?
Right back to intentionality.
It's a strong reminder to actually think about our own life pilgrimage.
Exactly. That final focus on intention. It's so vital. Condi reminds us that even a metaphorical journey needs some thought, some planning. Asking those questions makes us active participants, not just passengers.
So wrapping up this deep dive into Mark Condy's writing, he really gives us a compelling way to look at life, doesn't he? Not just random stuff happening, but this ongoing pilgrimage, a journey of seeking meaning, connection, growth.
Absolutely. A really enriching perspective. And we hope that for you listening, maybe you can start seeing your own life through that lens a bit more, noticing those stepping stones, seeing the potential for discovery, even in the everyday stuff.
Yeah. So here's a final thought to leave you with. What ancient paths, or maybe what new paths, might be calling to you right now on your own personal pilgrimage? And maybe ask yourself, what's one small intentional step you could take today on that journey?